It's the mythology of the game. You have death in the fall, the end of the World Series, we go into a slumber, a hibernation, you know, and then all of a sudden the snow melts, the ponds clear up, the grass starts growing, you know, and young men's fancy turn to baseball. And everybody does. It's a father and son thing. It's off the farm, you know, it's time you could get out. The cows are out in the pasture, you know, and you're out there with them, and and your afternoons are longer and the days get longer and you can play baseball. And it can go on forever.
Virtually every major league ball player, whether they're an everyday regular, a bench player, or one of the game's superstars, has done his time in the minor leagues. Minor league baseball has been around for over a century throughout the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It is played in small farm towns, bustling blue-collar cities, and everywhere in between. And within many of these places we're home to some of the greatest stories in the history of our national pastime. These stories will be brought to life like never before by the players who actually lived them in this weekly series, Minor Moments, Major Memories.
This is all I've known. I've been drafted by the Yankees. I've been in this organization my entire life, and it's the only organization I've ever wanted to play for. So, you know, I look at it as an honor.
For me, the biggest thing is the camaraderie with the guys. And, you know, the game is one thing. When you're on the field, it's like a really cool escape in a sense, because that's when you're truly kind of doing your thing. You know, if you're an artist, that's when you're painting, so you're kind of free in a way. But the one thing about baseball is the fraternity aspect of it, and that's just, you know, time on the road and joking around in the locker room and on the bus and on the trips and things like that.
Yet despite the long bus rides, the often poor conditions of ballparks and hotels, and the small salaries, many of those who eventually did make it to the show experienced some of their best and most memorable times as a ball player when they were young men in the minors. Minor Moments, Major Memories will be a weekly TV series in which some of baseball's most popular, legendary, and greatest players from many eras of the game's history recall their most memorable times in the Bush Leagues. A time in which each player's career had the same rules of the game, but the stadium lights were dimmer, the crowds were much smaller, and the team mascot sometimes coached first base. Each episode in the series will feature 2 or 3 big leaguers recalling their most unforgettable moments of their minor league careers. Through the use of on-camera interviews, vintage footage and photos, newspaper accounts, and on-location shooting at minor league parks across North America, these memorable moments will be brought to life by the players who experienced them. Featured in this weekly series will be on-camera appearances by many of baseball's biggest names, among them Cal Ripken Jr., Wade Boggs, Mike Piazza, Roy Doc Holliday, Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Fred Lynn, Jim Thome, Johnny Pesky, Bill Spaceman Lee, Jim Mudcat Grant, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Duke Snider, and John Franco, just to name a few.
We're in the bullpen in Albuquerque, and myself and Brett Wise, who was one of the top relief pitchers in the minor leagues for the Dodgers at the time. And we were sitting in the bullpen, and it was early, you know, May, so it was kind of still a little cool, but the weather was just good enough to where you could take your hat off and take some sun. And we had Del Crandall as our manager, and Del was like an old Army general, man. He wanted things done his way, and if you didn't do it, he'd let you know. So we were sitting in the bullpen, and the game's going on, and the sun's out, and we're both there like this, taking the sun. So after the game, Brett Strom, who was our pitching coach, came in and said, "Hey, Del would like to see both of you 2 guys in his office." We went in the office, and Del was sitting across the desk from us, and he said, "Well, fellas, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You've been traded to Cincinnati. Nice knowing you. Take it easy. Talk to Doc." It worked out for me because I went on to the Reds, and I was a starter. I used to get tired in the 5th and 6th inning, and then they converted me, put me in the bullpen, and I went to the bullpen, and I was there for about a year, and then I was up in the big league, so it worked out great.
Hi, this is Yogi Berra. When you come to the fork in the road, take it. Oh, I shouldn't say that. They think I make these things up, well, you know what I'm saying? I don't. It just comes out.